ask the most controversial question.
Sure.
Video game question is what's the greatest game of all time in your opinion?
Ooh, of all time? I don't know. I mean, I can say the greatest game I've ever played. So much of it depends on where you are and your situation when you first play that game. For me, it's gotta be Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda. I don't know if I've ever had such a strong nostalgic feeling about a game. Playing that game or even hearing music from that game just takes me back. And I could just sit there on a Saturday and play.
It's like a good movie, right?
Yeah.
Every piece of it reminds you of something that brings you joy.
First console, Nintendo 64.
When we got an N64 at our house, my younger brother sat on our front yard and cried.
Yeah.
He was so happy.
I can identify with
got
that
it.
feeling. It's like,
I'm a little bit older than that, so Atari was the first system that I ever played,
Right.
which is super old, and anyone under 30 won't even know what that is, but
I'm 29, I know what it is.
so barely under 30.
Yeah.
What games are you playing right now?
Right now, I'm really excited for Overwatch 2. The beta's out right now. Hopefully it'll be coming out soon. World of Warcraft is like my guilty pleasure game.
When we were teenagers, people might have had issues with video games or like a stigma. Do you think that
Sure.
still exists? Like, do Christians still have an issue, or is there a stigma when it comes to video games?
I think that the idea of like negative stereotype of the nerdy gamer, in the basement, even that, it's like a guy most times, all of that is kind of changing now with games that are being put out and people's interests and realizing, video games aren't for a specific person. It can be for anybody who sort of enjoys them, and lots of different types of people can enjoy them. That's part of the stigma around video games, was this idea, I think, through society, not just in like a Christian worldview or setting, but this idea that, violent video games can create a violent person. It's not a true thing.
Well, I think we've learned, even in the last couple decades, more and more about mental health
Yeah.
and personal mental health, and I think that plays a big part in it. And I don't think the games themselves are to blame. I think there needs to be there's some caution, I think, around what you're taking in,
For sure.
like what you're playing. But I think it's not the same early 2000s, like we blamed everything on violent video games.
Exactly.
and music, and so I think that's part of that stigma is definitely gone.
Yeah.
As Christian gamers, are there games, do you think there are games like we shouldn't be playing? We've talked about the violence, we've talked about different things. How do you engage in that? Like, there's a rating system, and there's ways to know like what is in each game, but is there a line that you wouldn't cross? Is there games you wouldn't play?
So there are games that I wouldn't play. And some of that has less to do with being a Christian, more to do with like appreciating good games. As a Christian, I would say there are games that I wouldn't play, but they would have to be so extreme in their content, whether that's like explicit or so extreme in like violent content or whatever, that I probably wouldn't be interested in the gameplay anyways. There are games that are out there that maybe tell stories that I don't personally identify with or see like healthy things being represented in, like we talk like Grand Theft Auto, take that as an example, right? But I don't think that means there's no value that you can get out of hearing that story. What makes a game good, the same as what makes like music good or a movie good, is that we can get something deeper out of it. And sometimes those things are sad things, right? Sometimes those things aren't things that we want to experience in our own lives. But I think certainly just because a game is, say, graphic or has any kind of what might be deemed as inappropriate content, that there's no value in that game. The same way, again, for music or TV or movies or whatever.
As a dad, I've put in more safeguards than I ever would have in the past, right? You want to emulate being the kind of adult Christian man to your kids, right? And so, there are definitely games that I won't play because that it's not a good example. And I think story. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize that plays such a big piece in video games and what people play. It's not just about action. It's not just about smashing buttons, but there's story. I'm not afraid to say I teared up playing Red Dead Redemption.
Sure.
The story is so emotional that you were invested just like you would in a good book or a movie.
And that's what makes it a good game, right? Is that it tells stories that we can identify with on a deeper level, even if, you've never been a cowboy, I'm assuming, right? Or like a bandit,
That's right. We are, right, Christian men who play video games. And so we want to be true to that, but in online and in the gaming world, we can change our names. We're faceless a lot of the time. And so how do you sort of keep your integrity as a Christian man, husband, father? What do you do to sort of protect yourself from that?
An important part of existing online in a gaming space or not, especially as a Christian, is being confident and secure in your identity, so that you know who you are. Like, I know who I am. My identity is in Christ, right? And there are things that entails, ways that I feel compelled to act, right? And so I think knowing and understanding who I am helps me act out that in whatever scenario I find myself in, right? Whether it's online or in person. And then the other side of it is understanding that whoever reads or hears these negative things is also a person, right? A human being created in the image of God that deserves dignity and respect, again, in whatever situation they find themselves in.
You need to, you got to treat people, right?
Yeah.
The way you want to be treated, and you need to behave a certain way. And I think I wouldn't do anything gaming that I wouldn't do in real life.
Yeah.
I put an extra sort of layer to mine in that my gaming tag does have the word pastor in it. And so I every day strive to live up to what that means, that I'm putting it out there, that I'm not just a gamer, but that I'm a Christian gamer. It's a part of my ministry. It's a part of my life. And I strive to live up to that. And if I didn't, then I'd be lying to myself. Another thing that I appreciate about gaming today that didn't exist when I was young is that the online world gives us an opportunity to have communities. And so I tend to play with the same community, and we call ourselves the old guys because we're all old now, and we keep ourselves accountable. Like, do you have your own community that you play with? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be a part of those, right? To just have, it's playing with friends. And so, being a part of a community that keeps you accountable that way, while also sort of enabling you to explore the content together in a way that's fun. That's fantastic.
I play a lot with a Salvation Army gaming community.
Yeah.
And so we get to do ministry together and keep each other accountable and play video games, which is sort of the hybrid of everything that we want. Men tend to like to spend time together. We like to do fun things. And I think playing video games and spending time together is one way to do that.
It really isn't very much different from a sports ministry when you think about it, right? It's like the gaming or the sport or whatever is just the way to facilitate these interactions and to build community, right? It's just like a common sort of ground that we can all meet at, and
it's a starting point.
Yeah, that's all it is. something to facilitate conversation and relationship.
So Salvation Army Gaming, go to salvationarmygaming.com, and we have almost 900 gamers that are connected to this ministry, and we bring the gospel to gamers. We do devotions, we do scripture of the day, quote of the day, and we do video game tournaments, and we are ever expanding the reach that we have into the gaming world.
Yeah, it's all kinds of games, right? It's like
everything.
Like whatever people want to play, there's probably a group on there already playing and looking for more.
And there's a community for young people to just come and feel comfortable and safe to just ask questions and really start to understand their world and in a safe environment that they're comfortable. And video games give them that comfort, and so they can ask questions and be themselves. We would go to the street corner, and then we would go to the skate park or the hockey rink or the basketball court. Now we need to be online. It's the new street corner we need to be on and be a part of.
And we also get to play games.
And you get to play games. It's fun.
That's cool.
The Bible does ask us to be our best, right? And so we need to do that as men who video game. We need to really lean into that and be our best, true, authentic Christian self while we video game. I think that's what we're called to.
Definitely.
I don't want to get to it. I'm losing so bad.
Yeah, I've finished. I'm just
I know
waiting
you've finished. I have another lap. Oh, there we go. Okay. This is so bad.
I think this was the fourth map too, so we'll have to start another one.
Yeah, my son will be so mad at me right now.